And we are live. Hello, everybody. Hello, cyberspace. I am Terra, and with me today I have my very special guest, Scribe.
Hello.
And my baby brother, an American. Ah, shit. There we go. It's muted. I had the video started playing in the background. Normally it's muted, but I had to reboot the entire computer. So it unmuted it. And I have my brother with me, an American Celt.
Oi.
So we're just going to do like we did with Monkey, chit-chat and talk and everything like that. So my first question to you, Scribe, what made you start becoming a YouTuber?
Well, I was inspired in part by the Gamergate debacle, I suppose. It took a couple of years to actually start up. I hadn't really ever watched commentary channels before or seen sort of independent analysis of things, whether it was media or otherwise. And my introduction to it was the Internet Aristocrats video about what happened to Mundane Matt with Zoe Quinn. And so I was watching this thing happen before it was even called Gamergate. And that was like, that was my first introduction to this whole subgenre of YouTube videos or content creation. So I was a big fan of those kind of channels for a couple of years. And I've been thinking about doing a YouTube channel because I was starting to see, well, let's see, let me back up. So some of the videos the Internet Aristocrat did were called Tumblrisms. And he'd do Tumblrism videos on like white privilege and social justice and fat acceptance and all these other things. And at the time, I thought that those ideas, and to a certain extent they were, I thought those ideas were just some crazy... Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're here.
I heard some static.
No, that was a plastic bag.
Oh, okay. I thought there were some crazy fringe ideas that were just like the edge of the internet kind of stuff. But as soon as I started seeing people I knew in real life using those terms and promoting very odd ideas on Facebook and things, I knew that this wasn't some fringe thing. It was actually becoming mainstream. And that really freaked me out because the stuff that, well, Mr. Medicare now he's called, was talking about just seems so bizarre to me. And so I got to be...
It probably starts that way for everyone. Like,
sorry,
you hear these crazy things and...
sorry, I didn't, you're muffled. I didn't understand you.
Oh, shit. Probably starts that way for everyone. Like, you hear all this crazy shit and you think this cannot be a thing. And it turns out to be a thing.
Yeah, and especially coming from people who I thought should know better than to start dividing people up by, you know, characteristics, let's just say. So, anyway, as this stuff became more prevalent on things like Facebook, I found myself engaged more and more often in arguments with people that I knew who were making some pretty crazy claims, and any opposition to their claims turned me into a villain. And this became more and more uncomfortable over time because I'm dealing with people who, to a certain extent, are part of my, real life social group, at least at the time. And it really came down to one interaction I had where the story was J.K. Rowling had written her latest book at the time. I think it was the first in the Fantastic Beasts thing or whatever. And she was being held to account because she was using Native American mythology in her book, and that was cultural appropriation, and this was inappropriate, and she was shouldn't be doing that, and it was racist or something. And when I saw this article, I thought it was so ridiculous that I posted it to Facebook, and above it, I wrote, and I was being sarcastic, So this was my first unintended PO, I guess. I said, this is just awful. How dare she write about something with which she has no knowledge and no cultural attachment? It'd be like me writing a vampire story when I'm not even Romanian. And I meant it as
like that dumb.
yeah, I meant it as a complete joke, complete sarcasm. I was ripping on the whole thing because I thought it was ridiculous. But someone in my social group took me seriously. They thought, I mean, there's obviously no inflection in text, so they took it to mean that I was on the side of the article that was proclaiming this outrage over this. And so they said something like, yeah, it's really bad, you know, that she can get away with this kind of thing. And so I was surprised because I thought somebody took me seriously. Oh, okay, I'll play along. And so I said, right, so you agree that if you're not directly a part of some culture or something, you shouldn't be allowed to write about that kind of thing. I was being very sort of black and white about it, no pun intended. And they came back and said, well, I don't know if you shouldn't be allowed, but, you know, you should just be careful or something like that. And this led to a long, long thread with people coming in that I knew arguing that Rowling was inherently wrong for doing what she was doing. And so there was this back and forth between me and one particular person where they kept really trying to argue that she had done something horrible, that she had gone beyond the boundaries of what is acceptable for her. And after a long tennis match of this kind of thing, it came down to them saying, if she should have done more research before she started picking and choosing things to use from other cultures. And so I said, okay, well, I have no idea how much research Rowling did. Now, I have absolutely no idea. But for the sake of argument, let's say she did all the research in the world you could possibly imagine. I mean, imagine the most research that would qualify in your head as a lot of research.
Yeah.
If she did all the research in the world and it came out in the book exactly as it is now, you'd be okay with it so long as you knew she'd done the research. And he was like, oh, well, no, it'd still be, you know, offensive and moving the goalposts. And anyway, this is a long, convoluted way. Sorry.
Oh, I just said I hate people like that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is a really long, convoluted way of saying that as a result of these constant Facebook battles, I started losing friends because I was just asking for them to explain to me how they reach their conclusions, how they get from saying, like someone saying they had no idea that there was what the riots in Ferguson was about, into that being a racist comment. And that's something that happened on Facebook. They were somebody told a story about how they were talking to somebody about what was going on in Ferguson, and they asked, oh, what's going on in Ferguson? And like, you don't know? And then they turned that into like, well, that person's ignorance is just racist. And I'm like, oh God. And so
I've had that said to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. So it became more and more uncomfortable to sort of have conversations without being, you know, vilified. And honestly, I lost more than a few long-term friendships over just asking them to try to explain how they got from point A to point B in their reasoning. So I was kind of down and feeling kind of trapped, and I had all these, you know, thoughts and things and stuff that I wanted to say, but no outlet for it. And then one day on Minds.com, when that was a big thing that Dave Cullen was pushing at the time, I randomly ran into Irate Bear. And Irate Bear put out an open invitation. Anybody want to come on a live stream with me? And I'm like, sure. And so I went on the live stream with him, and we talked for a while. And, you know, after about half an hour, I thought to myself, and I tell this story often, well, if this idiot can do it, I can do it. So I got a free trial of Vegas 14 video editing software, and I gave it a shot. You know, the first thing I created, I think, was my opening sequence, the old one, which hasn't changed all that much except for the artwork. And yeah, I've just, just trial and error ever since. That's a very long answer to your question, but there's a lot of backstory to the why.
Long and convoluted.
Yes, long and convoluted. Because there's no simple answer. I mean, I was specifically inspired in my style by guys like Hagbard Celine and Skeptor and some of the stuff that Sargon did early on with TEDx talks and things like that. That specific kind of video of taking something where someone is making a proposal of some kind and presenting it and then sort of really listening to it and then picking it apart when necessary, always kind of appealed to me.
Yeah. Like you, not too long ago, I was visiting my brother in Alabama, and I started talking to this guy that's one of the guys on Chaos 120. And I made the mistake of phrasing what I meant wrong on Facebook.
Okay.
And I lost friends over it.
Yeah.
I think you describe him as an alt-writer?
Yeah. And they're just like, oh my God, what the hell's wrong with you? You're a liberal, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so next day I posted a more or less apology, but it wasn't an apology. It was more of an explanation that in my ignorance, I phrased it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that, while yes, he supports Trump and everything, that's his choice. We don't bring politics into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one chick say, but he wants, my family and I, mind you, she was born in America. To go back to where the hell ever. And she blocks me. And I'm just like, you were born in America. They're talking about illegals. Your family is legal. He's, I phrased it wrong. But if you don't want to understand what I'm saying, by all means. Obviously, we weren't that close anyway, because I'm not shedding a tear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there was someone that was saying that anyone who supports Trump is a racist alt-writer. If you support any one of his points, any one of Trump's points, you're a racist alt-writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a lot of very liberal friends, and I consider myself more of a conservative liberal. I'm not one of those liberals that's like, take guns away. Hell no, we need them bitches.
You've also told that you consider yourself to be a atheist?
No. More like, how was it that I phrased it? Atheistic, polytheist. I believe science and fact before I believe in magic. If nothing else can explain the other, I'm all for it. That's what I mean. Like if a miracle was performed in front of me, I'd want to try and figure it out first scientifically. And then I'll be like, okay, the gods did something right or wrong or something like that. Depends on how I feel about the miracle.
Right.
Fair enough.
So, Scribe, I heard Monkey's version of how you guys met. So what's your version?
To the best of my recollection, it was either we ended up just randomly being on a stream together. It was either Irate Bear's channel or Based Mama's channel. I'm not sure. I think it was Irate Bear's channel. I had kind of heard of him before at that point, but I don't think I'd been watching his videos. Mm-hmm. And at some point during the course of the stream, movies came up or something, or some political thing or whatever, and he and I just started talking at each other, and it was just a very natural sort of back and forth, very comfortable. And we just sort of took over the stream, not meaning to, but everybody else sort of quieted down because we had just basically began dominating the airwaves. And that was where we met, but we didn't really meet or really have any meaningful interactions until after I had done a video on Lovey Ajayi, who's a blogger and a writer and an activist. And the next day after I posted it, Monkey had done a video on that same video, or had done a video on the same piece. And I tweeted at him. I said, I really liked your video. You covered things better than I did, or something to that effect. And I didn't mean it as some kind of like dig or whatever, but he was suddenly very apologetic. He's like, "Oh my God, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I wouldn't have done that."
Wait, like Monkey being apologetic?
Yeah, he was apologetic. He said he wouldn't have done that if he'd known I'd already done it. And I was like, no, I'm not. You can do whatever video you want. I'm just saying, it's like a nice little companion piece to mine because it's actually goes into depth more than I did on her work. Now I'm pretty sure that happened after Monkey had highlighted another one of my videos in a video he did. He sort of did a response to a response kind of thing, or referenced it. And that was the day that my subscription count went like through the roof, so to speak. It went from like 60 people or something to 150 or something, which to me, that was a huge deal or something at the time. And so it was really after he started being apologetic to me that I was kind of like, no, dude, it's okay. And we started talking on Twitter, and I had only just started doing live streams shortly thereafter. And he tweeted me one day and he said, "Hey, do you know how to set up a live stream? Because I don't know how." And I was like, "Oh, I'll show you." And so I showed him how to set it up on Hangouts. And we didn't advertise it or anything, but as soon as he went live for the first time on a test stream, the title of the stream was like test. And like 75 people showed up. And there was just the two of us, and we had no idea what to do. I said I was just showing him how to go live and how to do what buttons to push and everything. And there was all these people there, and we're like, "Hi guys, just to let you know, nothing's happening here. We're just testing it out. There's nothing exciting going on." And then
it's like you walk outside, and seconds later, there's mosquitoes.
Yeah, it was just really odd. It was like, well, of course he had like, I don't know, like 6,000 or 4,000 subscribers or something at the time, so he had a lot of exposure. But from then on, just about every day thereafter, he said he'd come online or something and tweet at me or whatever and say, "Hey, you want to stream?" I'd be like, "Okay." Or in the next day say, "Hey, I'm bored. Want to stream?" I'm like, "Okay." And that's kind of how it started. It just became sort of a regular thing thereafter.
So with Monkey, I didn't get a chance to ask this. How did you guys end up meeting SDA and Satsu 2 Cents?
Well, Monkey knew Satsu and SDA before I had met them. I had heard of SDA prior to him having her on the stream, but he knew Satsu. He had Satsu on a couple of times, and we got to talking. And at the time, we got together on one time in like March or something. I forget what it was, or February. And we thought, hey, we should try to schedule to do this once a month. We can call it that time of the month, and the three of us just stream. And shortly thereafter, Satsu started his gaming channel and everything, and kind of fell by the wayside as he did that and focused on that. And then Monkey brought SDA on as a guest one night, and I think it was just sort of just sort of fell into that being a usual routine. I don't recall there was any kind of like official, now we're a show kind of deal. It was just sort of, that was the pattern we fell into.
So I'm sure there's some ladies that will eventually end up listening. And I know I kept asking my brother when I was up there before I started talking to Burnside, you got a special lady in your life?
No, I am decidedly single. I've not been in a relationship of any note for 2.5 years, almost 3, something like that. It's a long and harrowing story of just heartbreak and yuck, and you know, the stars have not aligned in the meantime. I'm not too freaked out about it or anything. It's just the way things are at present, let's just say.
And baby brother, I know it was you that hit the down button for the likes. You hit the thumbs down.
No. Thumbs up is black. I'll send you a screenshot if you need it.
No, I don't need it. That's okay. It just keeps me going anyway. So I wanted to let the everyone listening and will be listening know that one of the reasons why I got Scribe on here is because he's the one that told me how to do YouTubing via my phone, because that's all I had at the time. I still can't do a chat like this on it, but a friend of mine, my friend Roxy, she was sweet enough to loan me her laptop.
Yeah, you mean having chat in the actual stream?
Yeah, I can't do it via my phone.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can do that without using OBS anyway. So far as I know, just using straight Hangouts without going through OBS, I don't believe you can insert the chat into the stream itself. I could be mistaken, but I haven't seen.
Oh no, I mean I can't. I can do a video, but I can't invite people into chat with me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not worried. OBS confuses the hell out of me. We have a couple people that use it in Chaos, and we go through Discord to do it, and it just Discord hates me in general. It's constantly acting up on me. I just had to uninstall and reinstall the app because it stopped telling me when I was getting messages. And did I just see Mr. B pop in? Yes, Mr. B is here. But I'm surprised my brother hasn't popped in with all sorts of questions he hasn't been able to ask you because you guys don't see it in chat.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time thinking of a question.
Yet you constantly have them when they're on air.
Yeah, I'm almost always having. I don't, unlike everybody else on the planet. Apparently, I don't have 2 screens. So if I'm reading a story, I have that tab open and it's covering up everything else. So that's why that's why we dedicate like the last half hour just to chat, because most of the other times either we're so engrossed in conversation about whatever, or I'm staring at an article that I'm reading. I don't get to see the chat all that much. And so especially on my nights when I'm hosting, I have to constantly click back and forth between the tabs to make sure I'm not missing anyone's super chat or anything.
Oh yeah, sometimes I am the one that's reading the news, so I do understand that. And
usually when I ask a question on what's a night, it's usually about something that they were talking about, whatever news article, or a joke about something they said.
Sure.
So it's a lot easier for me to come up with a question that way.
Yeah, things go by pretty quick on the show because we got to, I'm the format stickler, so I always try to keep things reflexively. I try not to be a Nazi about it or anything, but I just sort of like, there's I've had, what was it? I forget who it was. Somebody tweeted me one time and they were irritated that some night I forget how long ago this was, but they were like, you guys did MSS News for like 45 minutes instead of just 30 or something. And I was just like, oh, whatever it was. No, we do MSS News for like 20 minutes. Anyway, something like that. It was like we were off format by like some 15 minutes or something in some way, and they were irritated because they'd expected to come in on a timestamp and sort of know where we were in the stream to listen to the part they liked the most or something. And I was just like, oh, well, people take that seriously. I guess I better stick to it.
Yes, format is actually what got me into watching you guys. But I basically go to the show for the news.
Yeah, I think that's probably the part, even though I end up having to read it all and stumble over my words half the time. That's the part I like the most. Sorry, what?
You do a better job than CNN.
Oh man, I tell you. Anyway, but yeah, I like reading the news because I like finding out what's going on in the world, even if it's silly stuff. And what's really interesting is that stories that we'll read on like a Monday, let's say, I'll end up hearing about on the radio on the national news 2 days later. And I'll feel like, we already covered that. We are ahead of the game. I already know all about this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I actually found a story I posted to our Chaos News 120 about a guy that tries to rob a hot dog stand and shoots himself in the dick.
Yeah. Nothing surprises me anymore. You know, after the kind of stories that we've read and the kind of things that people end up doing to each other or to themselves, you know, most especially the silly things, the things that aren't like deadly or permanent or whatever.
Or just stupid ones.
Yeah, Florida man stories or...
Yeah, fuck y'all in the Florida man stories.
Oh, Florida man. Yeah.
Yeah, I live here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I got her into Lords Tonight when she was visiting me. And she was starting to feel offended about when you covered the Florida man stories. Like, she thought you had something against Florida.
I've never been to Florida. I'm sure it's fine. But for whatever reason, it's become a meme of just insanity. So, and I'm sure that, you know, weird stories are all over the place and not just in Florida, but just
the guy that shot himself in the dick. The story I sent out is a Chicago man story. So that's Burnside's area.
Yeah, about Florida man meme. Apparently, it's because of the way the laws are there. Like something about criminal things that happen become public, are open to the public, whereas other states that are often sealed.
Right.
So it's not that it just happens more often in Florida. It's just that you can learn more about it in Florida than the other states.
Yeah. Our laws are weird, but dude, we still have a law that's on the books that says you can't park your gator in front of a fire hydrant.
There was a law somewhere that said that you can't. It's illegal to take a bath on your front lawn or something. I forget where this was. There's some really old archaic law, like sometime back in like the 1800s or something. Some guy decided to take a bath on his front lawn, and people didn't like it, so they made a law just to make sure it never happened again, and it never came off the books or something. It's like, okay.
There's one here, something about it's not in my county, luckily. I think it's down south, that says you can't hang your underwear on the line on like a Thursday. Or some shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Why a Thursday?
I have no idea.
There was probably some rational explanation for why they picked Thursday back then. And again, it just kind of came out or whatever. Like maybe Thursday was the day that I don't know, the fire truck came down the street and they didn't want to blow your laundry away or something.
I know in McDonald, which is like the town over from where I live, it's illegal to walk your duck down the street on a Sunday.
Your duck.
Your duck.
Well, I guess it would be against God's plan. So maybe that's why.
Hmm.
Good
Ducks
thing they were
are.
sure about their spelling there.
I'm sorry.
Good thing they were sure about their spelling. Imagine they got one letter wrong.
What are you saying? Like they walked like
They're fuck down the street.
Yeah, or replace the U.
Oh, they're
they were
dick?
walking the
Oh,
dock down the streets.
yeah, the dock. Oh yeah, sitting on the dock of the bay.
Just rip a dock off of a lake and just drag it behind them on a leash. No longer allowed to do that.
No, it's like, one letter off. There was what was the story? A teacher of mine told this story about how there was way back, like he was in the 50s or something. There was a guy who got this beautiful blue, like Mustang or something, and he went down to the paint shop to get it to get a detail, and he wanted on the side. He wanted in big swirling script. He wanted to say Blue Angel, and he paid for it, and he got it back, and it said Blue Angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking Sonic fan fiction writer put that on there for him.
And they're making a movie of that now too, apparently.
About what?
Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie with like live action shit.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh God!
I'm
one of
not
my
even
friends is
kidding,
gonna
like,
hate this.
They were, so far as I know, this is a thing that is really happening. I don't know if it's still the case. I think it was just a casting rumor that you'd have a animated, some odd CGI Sonic with a real person, and they'd be like trying to solve a case or a murder or something. And the real life cop, at least in the beginning that I heard, might be played by Paul Rudd, which is just nuts.
So this Sonic movie is gonna be a murder mystery.
I don't know. I just remember that the character that plays opposite Sonic is a cop, I think. So I assume it's some kind of crime.
God.
I assume it's a crime or a theft or some kind of caper or something silly, whatever.
It's like that dumbass movie where like it was a cop and the fucking chicken, and they had to solve the. I don't remember the name of the movie, but
Or the cop and the rabbit.
something like that. It was a cop and some animal.
Yeah, the cop and the rabbit, the cop and the puppet, the cop and the dinosaur, the cop and the dog. It's not a new idea.
Lots of movies with cops and dogs.
Mm-hmm. Turner and Hooch, K9.
Yeah.
Man's Best Friend. Oh, Man's Best Friend.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
There's that too.
And apparently the movie I want to see is getting sued.
The what?
There's a movie that cop I want to see, but Sesame Street is suing them.
Oh, the Happy Time Murders.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I was not enthused by the trailer. I was like, this is a one joke movie. So okay.
Seemed interesting.
Well, it's also a joke that they kind of already did with those "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" videos on YouTube, which also need to come to an end.
Those were. Did you ever watch like the analysis videos breaking down exactly what was going on and all those things?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's crazy. And and all the little things they planted in the first video that show up way down the line in the other videos and all the lore behind it. Yeah, I love those things, but they're so bizarre.
Yes. Death Harukin says the chickens are dead. Long live the pigeon. Would you believe I don't care for pigeons either?
Flying rats.
I just don't like birds in general. I think more of a mammal kind of guy. I like seeing animals with tits.
You know, there's a bird called the blue-footed booby.
There's that too.
Yeah, I got sent those for my birthday. Because like she was saying, all right, fine, I will send you one picture of a booby. I was like, this is going to be the goddamn bird as soon as I opened it. Yep. The fastest I ever lost a boner.
That's awesome. or was it when I sent you the picture of the giant black hawk?
Scooby-Doo is here.
Hey. What's going on? What's happening?
Not too much. How about you?
Live is all you can ask for, brother.
Cool.
Yeah. Lots of going on. Festivities in my neck of the woods. How's things with you over there?
It's a quiet day, bit overcast, not too hot, which I appreciate because I'm not a heat fan, but otherwise it's a lazy, quiet Sunday so far.
Nice. And it's overcast over here too for some reason.
Hmm.
Oh, well, we're the ones who are getting all the fucking rain, so.
Think about where's Waldo, Scooby.
What's up?
I was saying out in Waldo today, and don't do the fucking joke.
Oh, come on. It's so much
No!
Now, just Terra, remember, we do have viewers, so you have to clarify for them exactly where is Waldo.
Fuck you. Waldo is an actual town in my county.
Oh.
You know what the really cool part about this town is, Scribe? They have a municipality there where the town will actually pick up the tab. It's you can claim it on your taxes if you buy a red and white striped shirt.
Oh my fucking god, they do not. Oh my god. But they are a fucking speed trap, man. I can tell you that. You go 1 mile over the fucking speed limit, and they will tag your ass.
Well, that's why I wouldn't go speeding in Florida anyway. What is with the speed limits down there? When I was in Miami, people were veering out of my way. Then I realized, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm doing 55. The speed limit is 20.
Yeah. Well, it's heaven's waiting room down there. They got a bunch of old people that don't take kindly to high speeds.
Hey, Scooby, check out the chat. Ryder says hello.
Okay, let me see. Well, I hate it when you giggle. That means that you're up to something.
I didn't do shit.
Yeah, I know. No, you've done enough. If you're giggling and you didn't do anything, that means you've influenced them.
No, I seriously haven't.
So you're the Jew behind the curtain. I'm just kidding.
You know, when I used to hear that when I was a kid, that joke, the Jew behind the curtain. I always thought they were talking about Mrs. Rabinowitz doing laundry. Like I didn't know it was an actual phrase. All right, let's see what's in this chat. That I'm probably going to be all annoyed.
Maybe some grandma's down in Florida that could use some cookie dough to make some cookies.
You're another one. The two of you. You gotta explain to him off air what that. Explain to him off air what that means, Terra. Maybe he'll stop saying it.
No, he knows. I have explained it.
Wow, that's even more unsettling. Okay.
You haven't caught on to that yet? Well, you just now.
No, I didn't know if you were aware of what the joke was, but okay. All right.
Well, I said it makes her whole new meaning to, well, you put your cookie dough in her oven?
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake. Cookie dough has arrived. Oh, God.
I swear to God, I did not coax it. Nothing. He just did it.
Thanks. That's awesome. Yeah.
Ryder now goes, wait, isn't that his nickname?
Well, that's a nickname of something on his body.
Oh, great! Now you're in on the joke too. That's fantastic. You gotta understand. This is actually something I'm not exactly thrilled with. Like this girl went around town telling the whole fucking town this. It caused a lot of drama for me. Like a lot. You know what? Have you ever seen there was a TV show on MTV? I think it was called something like The Story of R.H. Berger or something like that.
No.
It basically
how old is it?
I think it was on sometime within the past 10 years.
Oh.
I never watched it, but this is the thing. I'd seen the trailer and the commercial for it. And what had happened in the commercial, what the premise of the show was the kid was like, he was this really goofy, awkward nerd. And he was like, they were playing basketball or volleyball or something. And someone in a gym class pantses the kid. And it turns out he's down to his knees. So this kid's like a really awkward nerd, like big time nerd. Like we're talking the best friend in the Wonder Years with the tape around his glasses that everyone thought was Marilyn Manson. Worse than that, but with like a really bad, like Jewish kid perm. But because they find out that this kid's packing a bazooka, like every dime piece within a 10-mile radius starts hurling themselves at this fucking kid.
Right.
Yeah,
I remember when MTV didn't have TV shows; they'd actually just played music all day.
I remember that too.
Yeah,
Those were the days, and like they started doing TV shows like The Real World and Dead at 21 and all this other bullshit. That was just like, why are you guys making programming? Just play music, please. And then they stopped doing that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you remember Dead at 21. I got one for you.
God, Jack Noseworthy? How can I forget Jack Noseworthy?
Okay, I was gonna say, do you remember who was the star on that? Because
Jack Noseworthy. He played Baby Bear on Event Horizon. He was the young kid on the spaceship, which is one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah, with Lawrence Fishburne.
And God, everybody was in that thing before they were famous. Jason Isaacs, Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill. God, who else was in there? There's a couple of people in there that I'm blanking on right now, but they're like far, far more famous now than they were back then.
Real quick, Ryder is now apologizing for saying that.
Oh no, it's okay.
Well, I did a quick explanation. And he goes, "Oh, gross! I take it back. Sorry, Scooby. I don't listen to anything. I have ADHD and autism. I get distracted and forget easily."
Oh, it's cool. I got really severe ADHD too, and obsessive compulsive personality disorder. That's one of the reasons I'm so high strung all the time, because I'm like annoyingly meticulous with shit.
You know, though, Scooby, you telling stories like that, I feel like a man dying of thirst watching another man drown.
Don't feel bad. You see that. It's my life became hell after all that. I started.
This is what I'm saying.
No, I'm a married man. That's part of what the reason it became hell was because you see, I had to stop going to like bars in the town now.
Oh, because you were already married by that point.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, not just because I can't drink. No, I was telling them about how like when I started going out and like people's wives started coming up to me, people's girlfriends and all that shit in the neighborhood. I didn't like that. So I got into fights with their husbands and boyfriends. The hell would I like that? If I'm not going to go home with the girl, why would I want to get into a fight over her virtue? That makes no sense. My wife insists I like the attention. Oh yeah, all those punches, all those kicks, all those bottles and shit getting thrown that I had to duck. Oh yeah, that was like every day was Disneyland.
That you didn't get to enjoy when your dad took you.
Yeah. Oh God, I told you about that.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that when I was on the stream with you guys a few weeks ago when I went to Disney World with my father? What it was like?
I don't recall.
My father was okay. Have you ever seen the movie Goodfellas? I think I told you about this.
Yes.
Yeah, my father was one of those people. He was a Sicilian. He always wore like the vests. He always wore like the chains. He always wore the rings. He was a real cuisine greaseball, and he took everything personal. And we went to Disney World, and what it was, there was this family, and they had the grandmother in the wheelchair, and so there was like 15 of them. So we'd been standing in line for a while, and they put the whole family in front of us at the front of the line. And we were going to have to wait in line again, I think, for this ride for like another hour. He got like a maniac, and we had to go sit on the bench over by the food court. That's how I spent my time in Disney World. We went in line and waited for one ride, and then I wound up waiting on the bench for my mother and sister to meet up with us. I spent like 4 hours sitting on that bench, and that was it. So I didn't really get to enjoy Disney World.
Poor Scooby.
Terra gets a kick out of this for some reason.
Get a kick out of what? The fact that you weren't able to enjoy Disney World? No, you should be able to enjoy that. No, I get a kick out of the other thing.
We thought, oh God.
Disney World was the only good thing that came from the ranch.
But my brother made a joke in the chat saying cookie dough is Chaos's turtle cave.
Oh God. You guys are horrible.
Scribe, you would be proud. The first night I got onto the stream, I asked everyone, I said, so, who likes tongue buttering turtle caves?
Did anybody answer?
Oh, they didn't know what it was. I had to explain it.
That's always the best part.
Oh, yeah. Then they were like, no.
It's cereal soup.
Yeah. You know what it is? I think, Scribe, that might just be like a West Coast thing, because over here we call that salad tossing.
Yeah. Everyone knows what that is.
The tongue buttering turtle caves thing is... you guys know the origin of that, right?
No idea.
Yeah, I've heard it, but I don't remember much of it.
So it's not a known slang or something. We came up with it on the show. Way back when someone had requested an ad for something. I forget what it was. They wanted like some kind of product. They didn't tell me what to name it. And I just called it tongue butter. Like it was a lubricant or something, or a lotion. Somebody said, write me an ad about a lotion or something. I was like, okay, we'll call it tongue butter. And Monkey thought that was funny. And then like a show within the same show, or maybe a show later or something, somebody brought up pooping. I think it was a story about pooping or something. And it was either Monkey or someone else in the chat brought up the old phrase like a turtle head, because that's what that's slang for, like when poop just starts coming out of your ass. It's like, oh, there's a turtle head. And
or in other words, growing a tail.
Yeah, or something like that. And so I called it the turtle cave. And then somehow we got to tongue buttering the turtle cave. So it was a combination of a joke ad and then a slang term. And then, yeah, so that's where that came from. It wasn't, so far as I know, the term tongue butter the turtle cave did not exist until we came up with it on the show.
That's awesome. You should put that on.
Oh yeah, I got it. Oh yeah, it's going to be on my tombstone. It's so awesome. It's what I want to be known for. It's like, oh God. No, but tossing the salad. Now I've known about that phrase for decades. I think like the first time I ever really heard it was Chris Rock talking about it in one of his acts. He's talking about tossing the salad with some grape jelly.
First time I heard it, I think, was in high school when somebody first came home from county.
Mm-hmm.
And the older guys were busting his shoes. I went to the bad kid school. I wasn't a criminal. I was a really, really, really bad prankster.
Mm-hmm.
I did really like things you shouldn't do. Like I got into the water softener one year, and I added. They had it at like a Dollar Tree. I guess it was like they had a close out of it, and it was like 10 years old, but the shit doesn't expire, I guess. They had the old green Ghostbusters Ecto Cooler.
Oh.
They had cases of this shit. So I went and it's been over 20 years. I can't get arrested for it. I kind of maybe might have let myself into the school and added it to like the water system, so that the next day when people were using the water fountains and the water in the bathrooms, it was all coming out bright fluorescent green.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of fun watching the janitors go in there, like people got called down. I did things like that. I didn't really, it was a jock neighborhood. I didn't like the football players, so I would do things like I put petroleum jelly on the banister, so when they would come running down for the game, they didn't lose their grip and go sliding into the wall. So I wound up going to a juvie high school for juvenile delinquents, but I was the only one in there without a criminal record. So, interesting times.
Mm-hmm.
But, bro, I can talk about me all day, Scribe. What about you? Tell me about yourself, brother.
Well, you're going to have to get more specific because I could go on for a long time with being couching my language in certain places just for the sake of not getting too specific about some things.
Yeah, you want to retain your anonymity. Gotcha.
Yeah. I am also not a criminal. I have no criminal record. Let's see what else. I am a Gemini, or depending on whether or not the stars have shifted, I heard that the astrological signs all changed, so I might be a Taurus now or something. I don't know. What else? Well, I mean, so when the astrological charts were originally plotted out, it was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And the stars,
stellar drift.
Yeah, stellar drift. So technically, the positions of the things that dictated what sign you were have moved significantly enough to offset everything by a couple of days here and there. So, what else? Let's see. I just turned 39. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, you and I are the exact same age. Huh.
Yeah. What else?
Are you back, Bernstein?
Yeah, he's back.
I don't know. You have to ask me something specific because it's just sort of like a cloud of thoughts in my head that I could say, but
All right. You're on the West Coast. I think you and I had talked about this once already.
Yes.
You ever been to the East Coast?
I went to New York and Pennsylvania on a student trip, and Washington, D.C. on a student trip many, like I was 11 or something. So it was very whirlwind. We were there for like maybe 3 or 4 days. And, went to the Washington Monument and went to an Amish farm. And I stole a horseshoe from the Amish farm. Went to New York and went to it was like a ribs restaurant. I forget what it was called, but we saw Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. That was the big thing. We saw Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, but the chandelier effect malfunctioned that night, and the chandelier did not fall, which of course is the big event to happen before you get to the intermission. And so all it did was just the lights flashed and then all of the house lights went out. So it was kind of like underwhelming. I saw Phantom of the Opera years later when it did work and the whole thing effectively worked. And I was like, oh, that's what I missed. But then at the same time, when I saw it on Broadway, I was so far back in the cheap seats that it probably wouldn't have been as cool. But yeah, that's the only time I've been to the East Coast. Closest I've gotten to otherwise in the intervening years, I went to New Orleans a couple of times to visit some friends.
That's really cool, though. I myself, you're more worldly than me. I actually have never left the East Coast. Like most New Yorkers, I used to joke when people would say, "Oh, you've been to Florida," and I would say, that's. You go to the airport and they send you down in a metal tube. You get off the plane, you wander around, and you get back on. It's not the same as traveling. I tell people that all the time. But I have traveled up and down the East Coast myself. Been as far up as Maine, and I've driven down as far as I think the Carolinas myself. Furthest west I think I've ever been is Pennsylvania. That's one of the things actually why I started doing this on YouTube as a journalist. Was one of the things I was going to start trying to do was actually try if I can get my fundage up to do it, try to actually travel a bit more and see the rest of the country. I figured as a New Yorker, because we're famous for living in a bubble, I just figured it would be funny to document my culture shock as I went and dealt with the rest of the country. Because, we are really sheltered here. Just to let you know. I mean, I don't know how aware you are of it, but we're famous for it. It's part of the reason that when I went down to D.C., I had people from all over the country yelling at me how New Yorkers are ruining the rest of the country. It was funny.
I don't even doesn't even occur to me that New Yorkers are ruining the country or anything like that. I don't.
Most of the celebrities.
Oh well, I think
Yeah.
I think Hollywood does that more than anything else, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, it feels like California does it more. So
No, I mean they all live here. They live here, and then it's kind of funny. They reside here, but they're never here because they're always in your neck of the woods, Scribes, filming their movies. But then they're here. They come home here for the holidays, basically.
Sure, yeah, it's their vacation.
So, Scribe, I've forgotten which Lord of the Night you are, and how did you get it? How did you become that Lord?
I'm the Lord of Punishment.
oh yeah. I remember.
Well,
This sounds kinky.
So the whole Lords thing. Well, when we decided to come up with a name for the show, we threw around a bunch of ideas, and I threw out a couple, and eventually we just decided on Lords of the Night. And so one night early on, when we'd started using the name, I thought I'd just give people like Lord names, like if you're going to be a Lord of the Night, you should have some kind of like superhero name kind of thing. And I called Monkey the Lord of Pain. And actually the Lord of Pain is, it's been used in different places before, but the what I think of when I call him that is there's a character in Knights of the Old Republic 2, Darth Scion, and he was known as the Lord of Pain. So given Monkey's disability and everything, it just seemed fitting, and he liked it. And then when SDA got Jinx, whom I named, by the way, when she was looking for a name for her dog, I just called her Jinx. I just called her the Lord of Puppies. And then for the longest time, I didn't have a Lord name because I didn't think of it. I didn't, put any effort into thinking up one for myself. And it was just coincidence, I guess, that Monkeys and SDA's Lord names ended up being keywords. So I think Monkey decided that I should be the Lord of Punishment because of my BDSM background. Also because I'm sort of a mental masochist when it comes to reading CNN. So yeah, I think that's where that came from.
All right, Scribe, I have to ask you. What is your favorite fetish?
My favorite fetish.
Oh, God.
Because I'm pretty sure you're like me. You have a FetLife profile.
I do. I haven't looked at it in years now. It became a lot like Facebook in a way. And
yeah, it did. But I'm rarely on there. I mostly get people wanting to follow me and stuff, and it's like you're not going to see anything new. And
if I have any one overriding fetish, it's probably just mental domination. Just the power exchange one to another. There's a whole bunch of things that can be consequential to that dynamic, but that's really the backbone. So I suppose that's my favorite fetish. It's more. I don't really call it a fetish because it sounds like something that's sort of like a bolt on to one's existence. That part of me, that part of my sexuality, is a part of me as much as like my pinky finger is a part of me. So. Put into those terms, sure. That's my favorite fetish.
I just like sluts.
Well, to each their own.
And this is why you have the nickname Cookie Monster.
No, I have poor judgment of who's a loudmouth. That's all.
Yeah, to go back to something.
Call the red light district the bakery.
Oh God, what were you saying, Scribe?
That wasn't me.
Yeah, that was the other person who sounds like Kermit in this stream.
It's not easy being green.
All right, now listen here, motherfucker. All right, I don't know what the hell they taught you about this stuff, but there's certain different shades of green. All right, the only institutional racism I ever experienced was from other frogs. Okay, clean your goddamn room.
Miss Piggy sounds angry.
And this is why I want to kick on here too.
Fuck. I can't even remember what I was about to say now. Oh, going back to something that somebody said in the comments. They were saying, Foster, are you a furry? Because I said the thing about I like mammals best because they have boobs. No, I'm not a furry, but I will, for a video one of these days, I will go on and I will make a Pounced account just for the fucking satire of it.
Oh, God.
I don't know if anybody here even knows what Pounced is.
I
No, I
assume
do.
it's a furry dating site.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I was just guessing because what else would it be?
One of the guys that we stream with, one of these kids, he's from your neck of the woods. He's a furry, and that's the only way I know because a couple of people were like busting his balls if he had, what's his handle on Pounds. And so I was like, what the hell is Pounds?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he said it's kind of like a furry version of Tinder. And I said, oh, okay. I think we've reached peak
have a handle.
I think we've reached peak autism if they have like a furry Tinder.
Death Hyrukin's asking if Jordan Peterson's here.
For a while, I actually thought Scribe was Jordan Peterson.
Well, that's
I
something.
seriously have no idea who the fuck Jordan Peterson is. Otherwise, I would have tried
You don't know who Jordan Peterson is?
Otherwise, I would have tried to get the trifecta of Kermit on here.
All right.
You get Jordan here.
I don't think you'd be able to get Jordan on here without him boring us all to death with talks of the metaphysical or whatever the fuck he goes on and on about.
Terra, who Jordan Peterson is, he's that professor from Canada that those crazy SJWs went running up to, telling him he couldn't refer to them as him and her. They got to refer to them as Z and Zer, and just that usual nuttiness that bored rich kids do. And he parlayed it into a career.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Burnside is having issues with his microphone, so that's why he's been jumping in and out.
Of course he is.
I never noticed he came back.
Yeah, he was trying to ask Scribe about the opera, but his mic's not working, and he's at work, so he's like rebooting his phone, doing rounds, coming back, trying it again.
No, I don't know much about the opera. I've been to Phantom of the Opera, but that's not quite the same thing. So
yeah,
no. The opera nuts. If you ever go onto a forum and you say, "Hey guys, want to talk about Phantom of the Opera?" They will jump down your fucking throat and say,
"No,
sure.
That's not real opera. And go, let's talk about Repo, the genetic opera."
Yes, there you go.
I love Phantom of the Opera, and all that stuff, but my favorite is Repo, and my fucking roommate is calling again. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Remind me, I gotta tell her that they might actually strike a stream if she gets ringtones like that again.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that stuff, unfortunately, because I don't know how it works, but it's despite the fact that it ends up screwing people over, it always amazes me that just like one little 5-second blurb on a live stream can be caught by this algorithm and you can be spiked for it.
Yeah, I got actually spiked, not this Friday that just passed, but last Friday. One of the guys that I had on the stream, Porpoiseful, I was talking to them about when I went to Woodstock '99, and I had mentioned I was in the Limp Bizkit pit. So Porpoiseful, to be a dick, he was showing like the later stuff that Limp Bizkit did afterwards, like some of the later videos, which is god awful.
When it was being shown, when he was screen sharing, it was saying YouTube and giving all the actual links.
Yeah, and the thing was, he didn't even show any. He had the volume off. All he did was show. He screen shared a shot of like a 1-second shot. He's like, "These guys you're talking about," and then literally was done showing it.
Right. Yeah.
And I got 3 strikes just for that one thing that he showed.
Jesus.
Yeah, but the new thing now is because I wasn't the one who did it, and he was a guest on my stream. I didn't get anything against my channel, but the stream itself is not publishable. So,
great.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things. And another thing too, I almost forgot. I'm glad I wanted to mention this to you because Monkey didn't tell it to me. I'm glad I picked up on it when I was streaming with you guys. If I didn't know, like if I didn't pick up on it that you guys, you know, do monetization, I might have got you guys demonetized. So like next time, yeah, you might want to mention that to your guests next time, because especially if you bring somebody off of Chaos, yeah, you're gonna lose money unless you give us a heads up.
I will just let you know I am the most family friendly channel here on YouTube.
Bullshit.
Everything we do is in the name of Jesus.
Bullshit.
That would pretty much get you demonetized.
My content is so innocent and has nothing to do with corpus fucking.
Okay, now that's a fucking herd of bullshit. Especially seeing as I saw the video that is titled "Man Fucks Dolphin."
Excuse me. Yeah, titled "When a Man Fucks a Dolphin." Thank you very much.
Yeah, and also
no fucking difference.
Yeah, and this is also, you gotta remember, Foster, you're dealing with Google. They don't want to hear anything about Jesus. You want to say now that every video you do is it has to do with Allah, and then Google will promote the shit out your channel.
Then they'll start throwing money at you.
Yeah, seriously, that's the trick. The trick to getting monetized by YouTube. I'll give you the 3 steps. The first step is you have to, you know, like be anti-Second Amendment. The second step is you have to have a Black Lives Matter banner behind you. And the third step is down in your description, you have to use Arabian script instead of the Roman alphabet to describe anything. And you can say whatever you want on your screen and you won't get demonetized. And they'll probably promote you to the top in the recommendations.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, now I gotta go and fucking try this shit.
So writer says Jesus, he means the blue whale.
No, I'm still part of the old religion.
Bullshit.
I don't know how you can call bullshit on it when I am literally a religious figurehead for it. So
I just realized does that mean that this blue whale cult, is this like you guys are now like competing faiths?
In a way, yeah, I guess. Sort of.
Oh, awesome. Cool. So that means if I keep like poking and prodding at both parties, I might start a religious war.
No. You'll start a crusade.
Oh, that's even better.
This goddamn cell phone.
Oh, yay! There's the Mr. B.
Wait, is this piece of shit actually working for a change?
Yes, love, it is.
Yeah.
I've been trying to ask questions for fucking hours on end.
Go ahead and ask, because you have another half hour.
Okay, 1. Why did you steal from the Amish? You've cursed your lineage. You've cursed them. You need to return that.
Hey, I put it over my doorway, so it's good luck now.
Oh. Yeah. What parts I just said? Are the prongs?
Sorry, what?
Is it facing upwards like a U, or is it facing down like an N?
Upwards, so it keeps the luck in.
Awesome.
Thank God you didn't fuck that up. All right, good night.
I know what I'm doing.
You stole a horseshoe from the Amish?
Yes, and he's possibly cursed his lineage now.
Yeah.
That's like stealing someone's tire.
Second, was the Phantom of the Opera a good opera? I heard mixed reviews because
don't ever a musical.
Don't ever ask somebody if it's an opera, because you're going to get some opera tard who's going to say that it's not real opera, and they're going to give you like a fucking college essay length explanation as to why it is not an opera.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not call it an opera. I wouldn't call it an opera either. It was a musical melodrama. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, actually, it is an opera, but most people consider operas where they like sing in Italian and hold their breath for a long fucking time. And the thing is an opera is where the story is mostly told with music, and that's the definition of an opera: is a story told through music. As
So
well
why
as
is it called a space opera?
what do you mean? What's called a space opera?
Star
Well, Star Wars is considered
Well,
space opera.
so Star Wars has operatic elements of like melodrama and high sort of like good versus evil kind of stuff, and sort of the soap opera kind of thing, like a soap opera where it's like, you're my father, oh my god.
No,
Well, also part of the reason
kind of more
is
like
they have that opera orchestra
Don't you dare talk over me.
that kiss my ass, that plays with the different scenes, and that's one of the reasons why they call it a space opera.
What about Cowboy Bebop? Does that count too?
No,
Because
Cowboy Bebop is an anime.
Thank God. Okay. Because I've heard people call it like a space soap opera or something. That's like, I hate
It's a
soap
space
operas.
soap opera. I would agree with that, but that's a soap opera. But it's still an anime.
I don't know if I call it a soap opera.
It is most animes are soap operas.
No way. Huh.
Yes.
That's a first.
I've watched quite a few, and my brother's watched what I won't.
Interesting.
I mostly only watch.
I guess Japan knows how to make a good soap opera then.
Yeah, they do, because their actual soap operas suck. All theirs is pretty much, well, it turns into softcore hentai.
Really?
Yes, I've seen.
There's nothing wrong with that.
As far as I know, it doesn't turn into what Scooby's family eats for dinner. I don't know if you know this, Scribe, but Scooby has this saying when you start talking
dinner
about
or dessert.
When you start talking about tentacle hentai, he says, "My family eats more of his Italian side of the family. My family eats what people in hentai fuck."
Yeah, calamari.
Yeah, tentacles.
I like eating octopus. Like octopus sushi. I like that stuff.
The one thing I've contemplated doing, just out of curiosity, is if it were one of these just funny things that could just be made possible, is to go on a seafaring adventure with Scoob and a few other people, and horribly, inhumanely PETA butcher one of these giant octopus rapey tentacle things in Japan, and then serve it to the Japanese, or at least sell its bits and pieces to them as food, and see what happens.
They'd buy it and eat it and wouldn't give a fuck.
Probably.
Awesome. Good. Because one, fuck PETA. Two, I'm very curious to see what kind of an actual fight these creatures put up. Because I've seen all sorts of different
I've
takes on
caught
them.
octopus before, and they put up a mean fight. It had hold with its beak of my hook and wouldn't let go. So, and I'm trying to clip near the hook so I don't have to use so much of my line. No, that bitch is swallowing the hook.
Damn.
It is continuing to eat. So literally down the line, you know how a fishing rod goes. I had to cut along the rod itself instead of on the other end. Because that's how fast this bitch was eating my line.
Well, damn, that definitely sounds like something worth fighting. Because, I've seen like all sorts of weird things where it's like they have like the octopus tentacle monster that literally literally Matrix butchers people, where it just like either with at like extra velocity and force just like throws a tentacle and then like spears like 3, 4, 5 people or whatever. And I've seen other ones where it's just like lazily slapping or wrapping around, and I'm just like, dude, get a fucking chainsaw. Fuck this shit.
No, this is just your common brown octopus.
Interesting.
You know, the ones who don't pay their bills on time, the ones who step out for a pack of cigarettes 10 years ago.
Those ones, yeah. I don't want to
That's not
fight
what I meant.
I mean, those ones, I may as well just shoot them, you know?
Now, they're lives too. They're not just statistics.
Oh, bullshit. They are totally statistics.
They're alien life.
I'll read you the statistics I had last time for the fishing.
Not for fishing, but you made Elmo read the other statistics.
I didn't know if you got around to the other ones. But yeah. Oh, good times, good time.
I've got a dog vying for my attention.
Yeah, I know, but the brown octopuses and the gray octopuses and that, I thought I sent them fishing things to them. Maybe I sent it to someone else instead, or the frog god maybe zapped it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he has a tendency to do that.
That's probably what happened.
You know what though? What I would unironically like to see?
What?
Somebody just raise an octopus to fuck Japanese girls.
They probably do that.
No, I legitimately want to see this in real life. I want to see how that would go down.
What would go down?
Tentacle porn. Real life tentacle porn.
Yeah, I know. I was making a joke about going down. Not a very good one.
Nice.
I think that is a thing. They just use prosthetics.
No. I want like an actual horny octopus put into a tank with a bunch of young Japanese girls who are splashing each other. You know what
it's going to do?
It's so cold.
Do you know what it's going to do? It's going to rip off its feet, throw it at them, and crawl away. That is what they do when it comes to the female octopuses. They rip off their junk and throw it at them. It grows back.
Most badass way of saying, go fuck yourself.
Oh, that's funny.
I just want to see him shove the tentacles up their pussies.
Oh, you know, octopus I don't mind. It's squid I don't like.
I wouldn't mind fighting squid either.
No. Listen to me. When you're going and you got to actually drag those things in as bait, and they're all about figure 6 inches to 8 inches long, and you got hundreds of them, and they get into your waders. It's, oh my God, God forbid they get on your skin. Each one of those suction cups is going to pull the skin off. It's going to be raw and red where the suction cup was. Now, can you imagine being completely covered in those things? How much that's going to hurt?
Oh yeah.
I still have scars on my legs.
Squid suckers have teeth.
Yeah, I got scars all over my legs from those damn things.
With the exception of the Colossus squid.
Duly noted.
See, that sounds like it'd be great for porn.
Oh God.
You got issues, man.
Duly noted. I will bring chainmail and a chainsaw. I'll go fucking Evil Dead on these goddamn creatures.
Well, I don't go bait fishing anymore. We don't got the business. You know, if my family started the fishing business, yeah, but no, I haven't dragged a net through the water in a few years.
So, Scribe, have you been able to? I know for a while you said you weren't going to do any more ads. Have you been?
Sorry, what?
I was asking. I know for a while, you had said that you were taking a pause on, taking people's requests for ads.
Yes.
I was just wondering if you had been able to go back to doing their requests or not.
It's not a matter of not being able to. It's more a matter of the amount of stress I put on myself to get those done, and the number that I've been getting. I mean, it's like a victim of its own success in a way. Is that it became so popular that I was finding myself with almost no free time during the course of my week after I got home from work and everything, because I'd be working on ads or thinking about the ads or waking up and thinking about them, and it was just becoming. I was making more stress for myself than was probably healthy. So it had nothing to do with people asking to do the ads. I wasn't annoyed by it or something. It was just my neuroses just made it not fun, and I was starting to not look forward to coming onto the show because I'd be like, oh God, I'm gonna have a bunch of ads and I got to then do them. And it's going to take me a while, and I'm going to stress myself out because the problem is trying to come up with something funny and different every time, so that I'm not just like phoning it in. Because I do take it seriously when somebody makes a donation. You know, I don't take it lightly when somebody $10 is a decent amount of money in my book. That's like an hour's worth of labor for a lot of people. So that means something to me. I don't want to disappoint. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. Will I bring them back? Full time, probably not full time like I used to, like every show. Once in a while, maybe. I don't know yet. I'm still debating. I've actually been feeling better and less stressed out since I stopped doing them. And yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I don't want to disappoint people. At the same time, I'm more concerned about my overall condition because I have a full-time job. I'm not in need of extra money. I always appreciate it. I'm always flattered by it. But it's the extra income is not worth at this stage of the game the aggravation I give myself.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
I used to one of the hats I wore when I was younger. I used to ghostwrite, and oh my god, I made the mistake of getting involved in a film, and I wound up being the writer of the screenplay, and it turned into a nightmare. No, not fun. No, if you've ever, if you ever made the mistake of getting involved in a film as a screenwriter, like just one thing, it's a really big, huge red flag if they come to you and say, "Yeah, we have a movie. You want to be the screenwriter?" That means whoever they already had to write the script walked. So, yeah, you don't want to get involved. I understand exactly what Scribe's saying. It's a nightmare because you're doing something you like, but the pressure and the workload itself, it detracts from it. It's no longer something you enjoy. It's become like a fetter. You're tethered to it. It's no longer an escape. You know?
It was a fun gimmick to begin with that became something that I never imagined it would. And so as a consequence, I wasn't really ready to take on essentially what became a writing job. But a writing job where I had to come up with 20 new ideas almost. I mean, it was getting to that point twice a week. So I'd have to come up with 40 different individual, and even if the ads were only like 3 or 4 sentences long, they all had to be different. They all had to be to the person's request. And I put the pressure and the stress on myself to come up with something funny and new and interesting, even if it was, gross and childish. I just wanted to make it entertaining. And that, I can kind of empathize with joke writers now, people that write jokes for like comedians or TV shows and things, and trying to come up with something funny all the time, and trying to outdo your last thing. It's not easy. It's not as easy as people might think.
No, it really isn't, and it gives you a whole new level of sympathy for people in that field.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, I hate to cut it short, but I've got, unfortunately, my job has been interceding into my weekend, as I've mentioned on the show, and in about 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to have to be going and do some stuff, and I got some things I have to take care of before that. So I'm going to have to call it quits for tonight, I'm afraid.
All right. Thank you for coming on so much. I'm going to try and have Setsu on next.
Sure.
Oh, I'll be sure and bring
Have fun with
Dr.
that.
Pepper.
Yeah, don't talk about Dr. Pepper.
Ooh, a fellow Black Ohioan.
There you go.
Awesome. Awesome. All right.
I have to find Setsu.
But thanks for having me on, and I appreciate the invite.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
hope you guys.
Hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend, and I hope next week is peaceful and productive for everyone, and that I won't have any crazy CNN stories to read. Yeah. All right. Well, bye, guys. Take care.
Later, Scribe.
Bye.
Later, Scribe. Be good, man.
Yay! I had Scribe on.
He's probably walking away from his
Congratulations.
computer like, God fucking damn it, I can't believe I did that shit.
Well, see, I had to get at least one other Kermit the Frog on here, and and I know Scribe's been picked on because he sounds like Kermit the Frog.
I know.
No, I haven't gotten so much of it as he. Like, I know that a few people have pointed out that I naturally sound like Kermit, but I can definitely sound more like Kermit, if I actually try with it,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's pouring rain in here, and I'm hoping it sends the people that are fucking yelling and talking outside of my apartment to go inside.
So it's raining here.
Dude, I am so glad to be back in Gainesville because it was hot as hell at the flea market.
By the way, Terra, you're welcome.
I'm trying to think for coming on or for telling Six you were waiting for my stream.
Nah, for waiting. I didn't do this. I waited till he got
you
off.
Asshole!
I didn't want to give him a heart attack, so I waited. I figured, he'd see all this and his inner leftist, he would probably like go. And... What?
I said you come guzzling gutter slut.
Nah, you gotta buy me a drink if you're gonna talk that way.
Well, she complained about the hat.
Food.
Hold on 1 second, my wife is snapping.
Is that how he gets you back for cookie dough?
Yes.
No, that's I wear this all the time when I stream. I switch.
Yeah, but she does seem to like the hat.
I don't know why. I personally like America being great. To me, it makes sense.
Well,
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that slogan at all.
Likes Trump. I'm the only one that doesn't.
Yep.
And
all right.
There's no reason to hate the message.
Yeah.
I've actually got to kill the stream because I have to drive so we can go pick up the Rugrat.
Okay.
So I might do something later if I'm not on Minions, but Skeptalk has already said that he'll let me be on Minions.
Awesome.
Well, may he live long and prosper in the great red fleet that is Starfleet.
But I still might decide to do something when I get back because I'm kind of bored. I can't sew. My sewing machine's fucking broken.
I hope it's not red because everyone's wearing a red shirt.
You missed the pun. Space. The joke space communism. That's the pun for Star Trek.
Oh.
I already debunked that.
But
that's not a thing anymore. I thought it was.
I'm gonna go ahead and kill the stream. You guys hang out and try to chat in the hangout. And I'll probably start another one when I get back.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
All right. See everyone later.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, Cyberspace.